From Rathspones96, I thank the man who murdered my only friend. Even the music's fucked up. Or maybe that was a legitimate error. Or maybe my computer's fucked up. I can't tell anymore. On Ghost says 69. Of course it's a 69, wouldn't it be? Although that's probably the original, writer. You know what the scariest thing about this is? We haven't got out of the creepypasta yet, and I'm scared because my computer might have been crashed.
Man. And I have had a few friends in my life.
This is one of his first creepypasta readings, so, be nice.
Pub was one of the select few in my inner circle. I know what you're thinking. He's a bartender. He has to be friendly to get a good tip. You're wrong. It goes beyond that. I'd known Sal for over 25 years and sat across from him at the bar almost every day since we met. When I got married, Sal was my best man. When my wife threw me out, it's at Sal's home that I stayed. When she took full custody of my daughter, it was Sal who consoled me. He was a good friend.
And then he got murdered. The end.
To listen to me and give me advice, like any bartender would. Unlike the other bartenders, however, Sal actually cared. Now, Sal was a very private man with a rather quiet demeanour. That said, on the few occasions where he chose to let loose, he taught a lot. Sal had a way of capturing the attention of everyone in the room.
I can react to that. I'll let you keep to myself, but the moment you get me to start talking, I won't shut up.
But he'd regale us with stories of his youth. He told us about his cross-country trips, his overseas adventures, his mishaps, and his entertaining anecdotes. When he spoke, his audience sat on the edges of their seats, hanging on his every word as he gave them the juicy details of his endless tales.
Nowadays, people just go on their phones.
I couldn't travel quite as often. He didn't seem to mind. He always had a smile on his face and a cheerful attitude that brightened the mood of everyone he came across. One evening, as I was enjoying a drink, I noticed a man in a booth staring at Sal from across the room.
Oh, that's promising.
At my angle, I could barely make out his short and spiky raven hair.
Now I'm reminded of the cast of Amontillado.
Sal, and he told me he'd been coming in every night that week, never ordering anything. Sal, being the big softy that he was, couldn't bring himself to kick the guy out. Considering I went to the pub every night, I was surprised I hadn't seen the stranger until that evening. I was probably too drunk to notice. Later that night, after drinking one too many drinks, as I tended to do...
You're at a bar, I'd be surprised if you didn't.
According to my ex-wife, I passed out across a row of chairs. Sal trusted me enough to leave me there, even after closing time. I woke up long before dawn and made my way through the dimly lit bar to the back door, which could only be opened from the inside. This wasn't my first time taking a snooze alone in the bar, so I knew my way around well enough not to run into any of the tables on my way out. As I opened,
you're so drunk you topple over, but not drunk enough to hit a table.
I heard what sounded like applause, but it turned out to be
you got out of the room.
3 dozen crows taking flight. They hovered above the cold
I guess
alleyway
the golf clap would
for a
sound
few
similar to
moments, and
birds
then
flapping.
landed on and around the leaky dumpster in the front. I jumped when I saw the damned birds. I'm not afraid of crows, mind you. I even feed the ones
surprised would
at
hit
work
anyone.
during lunch. They startled me as all. A hunter's moon peeked through the clouds and illuminated the scene. There was someone standing on the other side of the dumpster in the forest of crows. It was the man I had seen earlier that night. He had his back turned to me, wearing a black trench coat and boots laced with multiple buckles. There was a large crow perched on his shoulder. Something was odd about his back. A bulky mass moved under his coat, causing it to shift around like curtains in the breeze. The dumpster smelled particularly putrid tonight, I thought.
The dumpster.
I glanced at the stranger, who stood between me and the street. I moved towards him and saw that his crow was chewing on something. At first I thought it was a gummy worm, but as I approached, I realised it was much darker and oozed crimson blood onto the cold, wet pavement. Then I saw Sal. He lay on the ground, his body ripped open, serving as a buffet for the hungry crows to feast on. They pecked at his innards, taking turns chewing on his softer organs.
Ugh.
I could hear the
I'm not a
crunching
gore
sounds
fan.
as they broke apart his bones with their abnormally strong beaks. Bringing a hand to my mouth, I emitted an audible gasp.
I'm reminded of a Tales of the
Sound
Crypt
caught the
episode with a
stranger's
guy stuck in the
attention.
desert with a cop.
And he slowly
And the ending of that
turned to
story,
face me.
where he,
His golden,
like, it grossed me out so
serpentine
much that I
reminded
almost
me
puked
of
on the
headlights.
shift at work. Like, I was at my
Something
lunch break, I
in
listened to the story,
his
and it
left hand
grossed me out so
leaned
bad I almost
moonlight.
puked.
It was a
Almost.
short silver dagger, the edge covered in liquid that belonged in my friend's veins. I should have been terrified, angry, sad, but
Confused.
I felt strangely calm. My eyes were transfixed on the surreal scene and the man at the centre of it all. Though
My friend
he
is dead.
had
Thank you.
A weapon,
The end.
and though he had
Oh, God
used
damn
that
it.
weapon to murder my friend,
Murder.
I did not
Double
feel
mean. What do you
as
call a
though
flock of
I was in
crows?
any danger.
A murder.
The man gave me the quiet smile of a Grecian statue, projecting
I don't know how to pronounce
calmness
that one either.
despite the feeding frenzy at his feet. His footsteps
Oh no, Eater of
echoed
Millions.
down the narrow alley as he made his way towards me. My heart thumped hard in my chest. Paralyzed
The angel
with
of
fear
death.
or disbelief, I watched him outstretch a hand to my face. With a gentle elegance seldom attributed to the male gender. The crow on his shoulder tilted its head as its master scraped his long black nails against my cheek. I felt a faint stinging sensation, no worse than that of a paper cut. The man
Paper cuts hurt like
gave
hell,
me
dude.
an amused hum as he brought his fingers to his mouth and tasted a few drops of my blood.
Oh, that's reassuring.
I'm not sure how long it took me to snap out of the shock, but when I finally did, I looked towards Sal's final resting place and saw that there was nothing left of my old friend, not even a drop of blood. The stranger turned his back to me, and a sudden flood of adrenaline compelled me to grab a wooden plank from the floor. I threw myself towards the man, but stopped all of a sudden when his trench coat slid off. 2 massive black wings clutched to his back like climbing vines. Black veins lead to and from the appendages, which flared out with a sound similar to that of an unfurling sail. The man gave me one final look and spoke to me in a deep, booming voice.
You'll thank me one day.
He said. With
Not
that,
one day
the
soon.
crows took flight and the man disappeared. I was left alone
What, was Sam gonna kill me?
alleyway as the sun rose. No evidence of the man, his crows, or my dead friend. I tried going to the cops, but what could I tell them? I sat in front of the police
Officer,
station.
a bunch
Going
of
over
crows
the
ate my
facts
best
of one.
friend and a giant
They'd
birdman
never
showed up. What do you
believe
mean I'm
that
under
some
arrest?
sort of
Drunk.
crow demon and his army of minions ate Sal.
So we're having
I
these for
ultimately
paranormal things. It's so
choose inaction,
paranormal, it's ridiculous.
hoping I'd merely suffer a booze-induced nightmare. It was no nightmare. Sal was reported missing by the pub's owner a few days later. An investigation began, and what the police uncovered shocked even me, who had seen a guy get eaten by a flock of crows. They found evidence linking Sal to no less than 15 cases of missing children. He had kept trophies of their remains hidden in a safe under his bed. Then it hit me. The reason for Sal's frequent trips in his youth. He'd been doing the wretched deed far from home so he wouldn't get caught. This
It's a
may
quiet one you
sound
gotta
weird,
watch out for.
but I am still grateful for Sal's friendship. As I explained earlier, I'm not a very social man. When you get
So don't
to
be a
be
pedophile,
over
else you'll
20,
get
it
eaten by
becomes a lot
birds.
harder to meet people outside of work. And the
Imagine it was a
friends
bunch of
you do
flamingos.
have
It's couldn't be
tend
taken
to
seriously
drift
as
away.
easily.
Sal helped me through tough times, and I'll always be thankful for his friendship.
And
I
that's the
still
most fucked
mourn
up
him,
part. He's
not
done
the bad
some bad
parts.
things, but you know.
I mourn
He's
the
also good to you.
loss of the man I thought he was. It may seem strange to you, but that's how I feel. These days, I've stopped drinking. I haven't set foot in that bar since the day Sal died. My ex and I even got back together.
Huh.
I get to see my kid every day, and that is the greatest gift of
The
all.
Disney ending, the
I
bad
guess
guy
in a
dies
way,
and all of a sudden
Losing
everything goes
Sal
back to goodness.
was one of the best things that ever happened to me. On my way home from work yesterday, I saw a crow with familiar snake eyes gleaming like headlights. He gave me a knowing nod, and I knew we understood one another. Among the horrific things found in Sal's home, they had retrieved a fully packed duffel bag, a single one-way ticket to Mexico for the day after he was killed, and hundreds
She
of
probably did something else
photos
fucked
of
with the
my
kid and
wife
planned
and
to run
daughter.
away again.
The Crow Man saved them,
With the wife and daughter.
and
Fuck.
that, my friends, is why I smiled to that crow and uttered 2 simple words.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, that was disturbing. Then again, I'm also kind of a guy where it's just like, hey, if you tell me that there's gore involved, I'll be like, ugh. That's just how I am as a person, you know. I think this is actually a pretty good like first just reading and all that stuff, you know. Like I actually thought this was a job well done, like Rats or Rat's Bone or however you want me to say your name, but I'll just probably go with Rats. But anyway, hey, I think your voice is actually very well done for this sort of creepypasta reading, so I do appreciate that. Though of the, it could kind of tell this was like your first time, I mean not first time reading it, but you know, like there were a few stutters, so I don't know, maybe if you like read a sentence ahead first and then record it, or like do a paragraph at a time, you know, make sure you're familiar with it so there's less of a chance of stuttering, or just edit out the stutters, something like that. Also, if as a word of advice, like I know you can do filters and stuff like that, have you thought of like maybe some music? Like if I could recommend something, Kevin MacLeod, Lightless Dawn. See if you can get your hands on that one, because that stuff is great for horror or material. Because you know, as great as this is, sometimes a little background music can make all the difference, you know. But I actually think this is well done, like first thing. And so yeah, looking forward to more in the future. Although not too many though, considering that I'll never get all these out in time. There's a lot of creepypastas out there, so I'll probably get more in the future. Oh, see ya.